Hello, Miss Girls! It's currently July 1st. That means it is time to wrap up. It is time for the TBRs, and I'm gonna do it all in one video today. Just because, to be fair, the wrap-up, there's not a lot to the wrap-up because the reads have been great. They weren't many, but they were never bad. That is a W in my books. We do bi-monthly wrap-ups around here, so I'm gonna be covering the books that I read in May and June. Separate, it wouldn't be that long of a video. Month of May, the first book that I read was Believe Me from teehee, which is the last and final book of the original Shatter Me series. This is technically a novella. This entire book was one novella. It's honestly a giant epilogue. This is basically concluding Juliet and Aaron's story until the new spin-off came out, because I know that the new story about James came out, so I'm excited to get to that. I actually do have Watch Me right here, so I'm excited to get to that. Yeah, honestly, I had like 20 pages left of it, so barely count it as a May read, but I'm counting it. I appreciated this novella. It was a fun way to wrap up the series. To be fair, I like pain. It was a little too happy-go-lucky for me. There was no conflict, obviously, because it was a novella. I just gave it a 3.5 because I enjoyed it, but obviously it's like, if you skip it, it's not the end of the world. Then I went on a cruise, so I really wanted to have the perfect cruise pick. I ended up going with Love Overboard by Candy Steiner. Now, the synopsis and what really sold me on this book, first of all, it's on a boat. What better book to read on a cruise, which is a boat, than a book about a boat? The best way to describe this book is really make it below deck, but a book. Myself and my husband, we are below deck watchers. We watch all of it. Mediterranean, Down Under, all the other ones. We love watching it, and it was so much fun reading in a book because it was like, okay, I get the reality TV style of it, but on top of that, I get the inner monologue thoughts, like the real inner monologue thoughts. Although this isn't real and these are fictional people, and in my head these people are real, but we're not gonna talk about it. It's a fun romance, it's a fun concept. I gave it a 4 stars. For a romance to be 4 stars for me, I gotta really like it, and I really did. This edition is beautiful. I got it at Barnes & Nobles. I've kind of beat it up. This book's been everywhere with me. The third and final book that I ended up finishing in the month of May is going to be Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Oh my goodness, this was my first book that I've ever read about Taylor Jenkins Reid. I liked the cover that I saw, and I saw that it came out in a paperback, so I purchased it. Had no idea what it's about, except I knew it was about astronauts, and it says it's a love story on the covers. This is not what I usually pick up. I'm very much just like a fantasy reader, or like a dystopian reader, or like occasionally contemporary romance reader. But this, I don't even know what I would call Taylor Jenkins Reid as an author. I feel like after reading this book, she can write about nothing or everything or the most random things, and I would totally pick it up. Her writing, very fun, went really quick. The book's not big, but it went really quick in my opinion. I had no idea this was a woman, like female relationship, and it was the first time reading one, and oh my goodness, my heart, I loved it. I cried, like deeply sobbed during this book. At the beginning, you start the book knowing that there's gonna be a tragedy, but how much of a tragedy, you have no idea, and it's just like, you just have to read it. This was a 5-star, amazing. It's my second 5-star of the year. It's like my top 2 5-stars of the entire year. So great. So great. That was all the books that I ended up reading in May. It's short amount of lists, but honestly, I was very busy. I was on vacation. I was just all over the place, and reading was like one of the last things that I had on my mind to do, unfortunately. I did get a little bit more on my Zoom starting June. I started my Acotar journey in the month of June. Obviously, I started off my journey with A Court of Thorns and Roses. Honestly, I went into the series semi-wet blind. It's hard to avoid spoilers on series this big, especially anything Sarah J Maas. Although I don't feel like I had crazy spoilers, I knew that the first love interest in this book was not going to be the last love interest. I knew that they were not in-game, so I wasn't too attached to the original love interest, which is Tamlin. Or a lot of people call him Jambo. And you know what? I see the vision. So I wasn't too attached. I was really there for Feyre's story and just like the overall just plot of the book and the actual fantasy aspects to it and the stakes that were going to go on and how much it was going to build up from there. So I was very interested in this. This guy was a 4.5 stars. I loved it. I ate it up really quick. So that's how you know it was good. I cannot take breaks between series, and it's kind of honestly a problem. So obviously I went to A Court of Mist and Fury, and you know, all the gifts where they're holding this up like it's the Bible. I understand it now. This book was amazing. I can't really say much about it because I don't want to spoil it, but Yes. 5 stars. Favorite book of the entire series. Yes. I went right into A Court of Wings and Ruin, and this guy is the beefier one, and well, but they just get beefier and beefier, honestly. They just get bigger and bigger in size. I cannot complain. This book was so good. It was a little bit slower than A Court of Mist and Fury, but to be fair, a lot more the epic fantasy aspects of it were in it versus more just like standard romantasy romance. The battles that went on in this, the last 200 pages of this book, I couldn't put the book down. I was sobbing at characters and storylines that I did not think I would be sobbing at. I was worried about everyone. I ended up rating this one a 4.75 just because it was really good, but it wasn't like 5-star perfect if I was going to compare it to, you know, its younger brother, Mist and Fury, but it was better than the original Acotar. Then I went into A Court of Frost and Starlight. This is like the Christmas novella. When everybody told me, oh, it's the Christmas novella, like, you know, you'll enjoy it. But like, I really enjoyed it. Sometimes I feel like novellas are just like additional things for you to be with the characters and enjoy the presence of the characters. But we got the multiple point of views in this one, which carries on into Silver Flames. But I really loved having the multiple point of views. I thought it was very insightful, and I love that the rest of the book series is going to potentially be like that, opening up our broad characters. Although I did love being in Feyre's point of view, being in Rhysand's point of view, also good. Being in Cassian's point of view, Cassian is really funny. Like, I find him just, his inner monologue is just very funny. Being in Mord's point of view, I love Mord. This whole series is just so good. I ended up giving this one a 4 stars. For this being a novella, that's huge. That's amazing. I love to see it. I feel like this novella really set us up for the beginning of Silver Flames. Obviously, I'm enjoying my Acotar journey. It's been great. I'm 50% through Silver Flames right now, but it is July, so obviously didn't finish it in June, so I can't really count that towards June. Those are all the books that I read in the 2 months in this bi-monthly wrap-up. Now time for me to decide what I'm going to read next. Obviously, I'm in 50% through Silver Flames, so I'll be finishing that in July, but there's other books that I want to get to. Gonna take a break, read some other things before I go into Crescent City because I need to get ready for Acotar 6 and 7. We have our trusty TBR drawer. I currently have 15 books on my TBR physically, so I'm gonna try to pull as much from that, but if I want to wander about and get other things, I will. I'm gonna try my hardest to stick to my physical TBR because I like trying to keep my physical unread TBR to at least 10, and right now I'm at 15. When I mean by my physical TBR, like for example, I have not read the Immortal Instrument series. I have 1 in the Immortal Instrument series and the rest, just because I bought them as a set, I only count 1 as being part of my TBR because how am I going to read 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 if I haven't read the first one? So that won't be counted as like my pool. I don't know if that's poor girl math, but it's my girl math. I realize my reading has slowed down a little bit. Hopefully it's going to pick up again. That being said, I'm going on vacation again in this month, so it might be slow again. So I'm only going to pull 4 prompts. All right, let's pull the first one. Let us see. It is a green one. A standalone. Okay, so I'm gonna assume that interconnected standalones will still count as a standalone because that's what I have a lot of on my shelf right now. I have the favorites. I have Cold War. Once Upon a Time, that's a series. The Woven Kingdom is a series. Obviously, Immortal Instruments is a series. Dang, I love myself a good series. I also just recently got this bundle set of Abby Jimenez books. I don't know what I want. I feel like the favorites is more of a winter romance because it's ice skating, and when I think of ice skating, I think of winter, and like we're in full peak summer right now. And Now Back to You doesn't feel like it's a seasonal one at all, so I feel like I could pick that regardless. Part of me really feels like just picking And Now Back to You just because since I already started First Time Caller, like I might as well just finish what's currently released. Part of Your World, City Girl. I'm too indecisive and I'm just gonna go with my gut, so I'm just gonna go with And Now Back to You just so that I could say I can finish these 2 and I don't have that like looming over me. Prompt 2. Let me just grab a white one just to have some diversity. A genre you don't normally read. Everything that's on my shelf is a romance or a fantasy or a dystopian. And low-key, none of those are like out of the ordinary unless I pick up one of Justin Starr books, which I really don't want to do that. Until I get some more diversity in my shelf, I'm gonna put this back in the jar. So let's try this again. A book with an ugly cover. That one's interesting. What would I consider ugly. I think I don't buy ugly books. The favorites, in my opinion, is actually not a pretty cover. Like, I actually really dislike this cover. Thunderhead isn't necessarily pretty. I wouldn't call it ugly. I think it's good for what it is. But I think the favorites is, if I were to have to actually pick a book with an ugly cover, it would have to be this. Although I said this is more of a winter book, this just fits the prompt way too well. So we're gonna go with this, The Favorites by Lynn Fargo. We have 2 more prompts to go. A white one. A book from my physical TBR. That's great because that's what I'm trying to do. I have 2 romances going right now, so I should really have a fantasy going on. My 2 contenders is The Night and the Moth and Thunderhead. I really want to start The Night and the Moth. First of all, the sprayed edges are gorgeous. This book itself is really pretty, and it's by Rachel Gillig, and I loved her One Dark Window series. Amazing. I'm excited to get back into her writing and into her like darker world. Thunderhead, I absolutely loved Scythe. I've already started the series, and this would be starting another series, so it sounds a little counterintuitive to do this over this, so we're gonna go with Thunderhead. This is our last and final prompt. All right, a white slip. Let a friend pick a book. Wait, that's kind of fun. I had picked my 2 contenders. It's gonna be Sunrise on a Reaping and The Night and the Moth. I sent them to my pookie friend Isabella. She loves reading. See which one she ends up picking for me. I have a feeling she's gonna end up picking this guy just because she's a very big Hunger Games fan. Not surprised, but you never know. Theory was in fact correct because she did end up picking Sunrise on the Reaping, which is great because this is doing my homework because this movie's coming out soon. So I need to read it. And that's all she wrote. These are the 4 to be read, more like to be considered, to see if I even read enough this month. Books for the month of July. We got And Now Back to You, which is a fun little romance. The Favorites, which is a romance. I don't know if it's fun, but I know it's a romance. Thunderhead, dystopian, and Sunrise on the Reaping, also dystopian. This is a fun lineup. I had Thunderhead on my last to be read, and I did not get around to it, so this must happen. Well, let's see how this month goes. See y'all in 2 months.